Talk of a housing market meltdown or a crash has been with us since last fall, and it's left many potential buyers and sellers wondering, when exactly is it going to happen? Well, with summer right around the corner and mortgage rates remaining stubbornly high, should we expect the Frisco, Texas housing market to have a meltdown, or is the market going to heat up just like our summer temperatures? So if you've been considering buying or selling a home and you have the same question, I'm going to share with you today the latest information and data on where home prices are likely heading through the rest of this year. So stay tuned. We're going to dive into that right now. Hi, this is Andrew with the Andrew Smith team here in Frisco, Texas. And last fall, there was no shortage of expert predictions about a housing market crash or a correction. In fact, just a few of them. Jeremy Siegel, he's a professor of finance at the Wharton School of Business, and he said, I expect home prices to fall 10 to 15%. Housing prices are accelerating on the downside. Mark Zandi, he's the chief economist at Moody's, and he said, buckle in, assuming rates remain near their current 6.5% and the economy skirts recession, then national house prices will almost fall 10% peak to trough. And most of those declines will happen sooner rather than later. And house prices will fall 20% if we have a typical recession. Goldman Sachs, they commented and said that the housing market is already cooling, according to July data, and was reported last week as interest rates climb steadily higher. The Goldman Sachs Research's G10 home price model suggests that home prices will decline between 5 and 10% from their peak in the US. And the economists at Goldman Sachs Research say there are risks that housing markets could decline more than their model suggests if other circumstances take place. Everyone was predicting the same thing. And without a doubt, all of those headlines and all of those stories impacted consumer confidence. You yourself, you probably got rattled. A lot of people were really nervous about what in the world is going on. I know that because over the past several weeks, I have had multiple calls with potential buyers and even some sellers, and they've all been asking a similar sort of question. And should they buy now? Should they wait? Should you wait until mortgage rates fall? Should you wait until the housing crash comes? Should you wait until those prices come down? So today, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have a crystal ball and pretend that I have all the answers, because I don't. My goal is simply to share with you the latest information and help you interpret that information so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. In fact, Goldman Sachs, who I just quoted a moment ago, in a recently released report now say the global housing market seems to be stabilizing faster than expected, despite months of rising mortgage rates. According to Goldman Sachs Research, home prices are defying expectations and are rising in major economies, including the US. So personally, I don't think we're going to see any meaningful declines in home prices here in Frisco for the remainder of this year. The labor market continues to be stronger than expected. The jobs report was way higher than anyone thought it was going to be, showing that the labor market is still fairly tight. And even with higher mortgage rates, which should start to come down now that a debt ceiling deal has been reached, the imbalance between supply and demand is just too great currently to keep home prices from falling. In order to explain what I mean and provide you a little bit more data, I'm going to share my screen with you now and just go over a couple of charts to show you what has been happening and why I don't think we're going to see meaningful price declines in the months ahead here in Frisco. All right, so this first graph that we're looking at here is the median sales price. This is looking at where sales prices have been. So April 2022 is when our market here in Frisco peaked. We peaked at 760,000, and then we started our fall. So if you're waiting for home prices to fall, they did, only it happened last year. And our prices continued to decline all the way into October when we were at 630,000 for our median sales price. We jumped up, finished the year at 714,000. And then since then, besides this drop off in February, home prices have been relatively stable for the last couple of months. Median sales price of 665 in April and 650 in May. Now, this is kind of the anomaly, this drop off in February. And it's important to remember that whenever we're talking about sales prices such as these, sales prices are a lagging indicator. It means that we're looking in the rearview mirror. We're looking backwards, right? So even the sales that closed here in May, those properties went under contract in March and April, right? The properties that closed at that low point in February are the ones that went under contract in the late part of 2022 when the market was at its lowest. So the sales data, although important, it's letting us know what the market was doing a few months ago. It's not necessarily an indication of where the market is heading now. And although there are many different data points that you can use to take a look at where the market is likely heading, for simplicity and for today, I'm going to focus in on just two. We're going to look at the median list price and the way list prices are trending, because whenever a seller puts their home on the market, they're using the most available or the most current data available, as well as what's going on right then and there with regards to buyer demand and pricing their home accordingly. And we're also going to take a look at where homes are selling in relation to the list price. So taking a look at median list prices first. So as we can see right here, this right here is showing us the median list price in Frisco. Okay, the solid line here is our 90-day trend line, and that dotted line is the 7-day trend line. So that dotted line is always going to be more volatile. It's tracking things on a week over week basis. So it's very, very sensitive to what's going on right then and there in the market. So we had mortgage rates increasing. We saw a little bit of a drop off in buyer demand. And you see that on the far right side here as prices drop down, the list prices drop down over the past couple of weeks. But that 90-day trend line, as you can see, it's going up, and it has been going up consistently since about March. I know a seller can list their home for anything, right? It doesn't really matter what the list price is. Is the home actually going to sell? Well, a couple of things to that point. If I scroll down here, now I'm looking at the market segments. This is dividing the Frisco market into 4 equal segments. You know, the median price in the top segment's around 1.5 million, and at the bottom segment, we're at about 520,000. Even then, look at the days on market. They're anywhere between 14 and 28 days. That indicates an extremely quick selling market. Homes are not sitting out there long at all at any price point. They are continuing to move. And the last data point to look at here today, as I mentioned, let's look at the percentage of list price, original list price to sales price. Now, again, we come back here to May. This is when the market was at the absolute crazy time. Homes on average were selling for 109% of the list price. We all remember the bidding wars, and then the floor fell out. So if you remember on the graph earlier, I showed you that our prices declined, and you can see it just was a steady stream all the way down until we got to January, when homes in general were selling for a 5% discount off an already reduced list price. But look what's happened as we've gone into 2023, right? So the percentage of original price that homes are selling for keeps getting stronger and stronger. In April, homes were selling on average for 99.8% of list price. And in May, they were back to 100% of list price. So when you consider the fact that homes in general, the list price of homes in general has been steadily going up since March, and then you also look at the fact that the percentage of list price that homes are selling for is back to 100%, that's giving us an idea on where the median sales price is going into the future, right? So the homes that are going under contract today, They're going to close in July. Some of them may close in August. So we're getting a sneak peek, if you like, of where those sales prices are going to be in July and August. Also, when you take into consideration where new construction is currently, and I've been to so many different builders over the past month, and they're busy. They don't have anywhere near as many homes for sale as they did, and their pricing is strong going forward into the months ahead. So again, I don't have a crystal ball by any means, but based upon all of the information that I have, and hopefully what you've seen here, you can get an idea on why I don't think home prices here in the Frisco or the surrounding areas are going to see any meaningful declines for the rest of this year, except what we normally see seasonally. It's important to remember that our market here, prices always start the year at a low point, and prices generally trend upwards all the way into summer, usually June, beginning of July. And then our activity usually starts to decline, and with it, so do prices. So the pricing, curve over the year rises and then dips down through the late summer and fall, kind of resets in January, and we start that cycle all over again. So hopefully this helps, and it helps give you an indication of where I think things are going. If you have any questions whatsoever, or you're thinking about buying or selling and have a specific situation that you'd like to talk through more, please don't hesitate to reach out. There's never an obligation. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. I've got a link in the description below where you can schedule a call at a time convenient on my calendar, or feel free to send an email to andrew@theandrewsmith.com, or just reach out at 469-296-5230.